One of the questions that I list, I will like to ask you today
Okay,
about agreement about Zelensky, about who he really is, and is he a legitimate president of Ukraine? That means if he can sign anything. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is February 25th. Welcome. And so glad to see you, my dear friend Tom. Tom, how are you?
great. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a month. And
I
this is
know.
very, very busy month for the United States and for the whole world. And we have a lot to talk about today. So,
Okay.
yeah, the first thing first, Kash Patel. Yes, he's now the new director of FBI. When I saw the news, I was so happy. It's a good news. It's a great news, and the
Great
great
news.
joy brings the great hope and anticipation. So, what's changed and progress should we expect to see when Kash Patel is a director? And then, what might be the biggest obstacle he will face? This is the
We'll
first
face a
time.
lot of obstacles, just like President Trump is, facing obstacles because of Elon Musk and Doge and all of that. So the
Mhm,
Democratic Party is clearly, and they've been all along, why they delayed Patel's confirmation so long, as they were hoping something would come up and he'd be out, because he knows all the bad things about the Democratic Party because
mhm,
of what they did to him, because of what they did to Trump, back for so many years, the Russiagate investigation and other things. He was on the receiving end of that kind of investigation, just like Trump and the rest of the allies of Trump were.
mhm,
And so they know that he knows all the details about all the dirty tricks and all the phony allegations and everything that the Democrats have been waging against Trump during his first term, and then during the time when he tried to run again
mhm,
and then got elected now. So Trump is very dangerous to the Democrats.
mhm.
Then somebody who's also intimately knowledgeable of all of the things that the Democrats did is Dan Bongino. Now,
Yeah.
he's had a very successful radio show and podcast for several years. He was a New York City police officer. He was a Secret Service agent officer working on the Bush detail and the President Obama's protection detail in the Secret Service. He taught at the Secret Service Academy.
Mhm,
He ran for Congress several times and lost.
mhm,
And at that time, I almost met him in the green room at CNN where he had done an interview and I came in to go on the air and we just kept missing each other. But
mhm,
anyway, he's written several best-selling books in the New York Times
mhm.
that document the Russiagate, the hoax, all of the things that were being done improperly or illegally by Hillary Clinton, the law firm that she used, Perkins Coie, as well as just the Democratic Party, the DNC in general. So he's very knowledgeable to those things. It's very interesting, by the way, talking about the Trump cabinet, that many of these people that are in the cabinet were gone after by the Democrats
Yeah,
improperly.
right.
Now, Tulsi Gabbard, for example, is now the director of national intelligence. She got put on a terrorist watch list
Right.
recently. And so she knows exactly what it's like because she used to be a Democrat and switched to being an independent and then recently to being a Republican. And oh, they just hate her for that. And they know she's been on the bad end, and there's nothing else bad they can say about her. Decorated combat veteran in Iraq, Afghanistan, and so they don't want her. They didn't want her coming in. They didn't want Kash Patel coming in. They didn't want Dan Bongino, but they don't have anything they can do to stop that. And so that's what's been going on politically, that the Democratic Party just will not give up. And
Mhm,
they keep trying to smear
mhm,
President Trump and anybody associated with the president or his cabinet or any of appointees. And so far, the more they do that, the worse the effect is on them. the
right.
lower their approval rating goes. So I
Mm,
think that for many of us, having Kash Patel confirmed as the director of the FBI, and then Dan Bongino becoming his number two, these
mhm,
are people that are just absolutely expert
mhm,
in what's been going on for several years to attack Trump, to attack conservatives, Republicans, pro-lifers, you name it. And now they're in office. So they will have a chance to prove themselves, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think the Democrats will quit,
mhm,
going after them. It's interesting that here, one of their gurus, Carville, who was
mhm.
campaign manager for Clinton, I think yesterday or day before was telling the Democrats they should just roll over and play dead. So because the more they're trying to fight this stuff, the worse it gets for them politically.
Mm,
And
mm,
that his strategy is let the Republicans just do what they're doing, let
mhm,
Trump do what he's doing,
mhm,
and what they're doing will fail and implode, and then the Democrats can make their comeback. Well, the
mm,
problem is Trump continues to prove them wrong by
mhm,
succeeding. Everything he's doing
mhm.
is, one success on top of the other. So
Right.
far, that's backfired on the Democrats. It's backfired on Carville.
Mhm.
And Carville even pointed out in one of his posts yesterday, I think, that the Democrats don't have a leader. Well,
Yeah.
no,
Yep, that's true. That's true. And also, play death cannot work at this moment because they have so many bad things has been catched by good people. So
yeah.
when we talk about people talk about Epstein files, and we're still waiting for the Epstein file. Why it takes so
Those
long?
files, I think they released, the names of many of the people that traveled to Epstein's Island and all that. That came out within the last couple of days. So
They
yeah, these
out.
files are being released.
Oh, really? It's I saw a name list, but I don't know if it is true.
Yeah,
So
supposedly it's
that's
true.
it. Oh, we see a lot of familiars names on that.
Yeah.
All right,
Now the
so
question is going to be is that they went to the island or they traveled with Epstein like Clinton did, dozens of times.
uh-huh,
What happened on those trips? What are the accusations that go beyond just
mhm,
traveling together or visiting Epstein Isle-
mhm,
Island? So we'll see. We'll see what more comes up in the days ahead.
right, because I saw some saying that Bondi still hold the whole document. She's not released the whole document yet, and she should.
She
So
will.
we'll see. Yeah,
She
she
will.
will. Okay, that's very good news because some people started worry about that.
Well, they should be.
Uh,
They
I'm
should.
sorry.
They should worry.
Yeah. You know what, Tom? I cannot hear you very clear. I don't know what happened.
I use my bad hand to
Oh, it's bad.
reattach the mic.
Oh, sorry about that. Do you want to take some time to do that?
Okay.
Maybe it's better now?
I don't know. How's it sound now?
Yeah, it's much better. It's much better. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what can we expect to see the big change from the FBI? What will be changed under Kash Patel from your
I think
experience?
the biggest thing is, the FBI had gone after Kash Patel
Hmm.
when he was working for Devin Nunes on the congressional committee.
Hmm.
Kash Patel wrote the report, congressional report on Russiagate, on what happened and why the FBI initiated that case and why they continued to do it to go against Trump and his supporters. So Patel intimately knows how
Mm-hmm.
the FBI misused their positions
Mm-hmm.
to investigate Trump's allies,
Mm-hmm.
to obtain illegal Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act wiretaps, to go after any conservative, whether it's people protesting in front of abortion clinics
Mm-hmm.
or others. And he knows all about that, what they did and how they did it and who did what. So I think that, there's a number of avenues that Patel can take. And I think that the question now is whether the Republicans learned their lesson, because in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
when Trump was sworn in the first time, and they
Mm-hmm.
had all the evidence of the federal crimes committed by Hillary Clinton,
Mm-hmm.
and the misuse of documents and other material to go after Trump, to go after his allies. And Trump decided that he would be reasonable and a nice guy, and figured that okay, he didn't push having her prosecuted, even though it was clear that she had broken federal laws,
Right.
many federal laws,
Mm-hmm.
and they just basically gave her a pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is, she rears her ugly head back up again and
Mm-hmm.
goes after Trump and all the conservatives and makes all the accusations that she's made in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And, so the question is, did Trump learn his lesson? And do we have, a situation now, no more Mr. Nice Guy. If they
Yeah.
broke the law, prosecute for breaking the law. And
Right.
so I think at this point, let the new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, oversee the investigation into all of the illegal things that these people did and
Mm-hmm.
continue to do up to the last day of the Biden administration. And and if it warrants charges, it's not revenge. Don't listen to what the Democrats say that, oh, they're just doing retribution. No, there's accountability that
Right.
needs to be done. That people that broke federal law at that level, if they're not held accountable, they just keep doing it. And
Right.
I think this country has seen enough of the what happens when you let them keep doing it.
I agree. I agree. And also, I saw the news that Cash Patel already have about 1,200 agent to go to the local agent, to local office. So what do you think about this movement?
I think that, when people look at FBI headquarters,
Mm-hmm.
the you probably in the J. Edgar Hoover building, where I worked for many years off and on, in and out of field offices back to headquarters, as a senior executive at the end. And, you have in the building, the Hoover building, you probably have, I don't know, 25,000 employees,
Mm-hmm.
but about 20,000 of them are analysts, linguists, data storage, support people that are not investigative agents. So the
Mm-hmm.
people that are supervisors at FBI headquarters that oversee investigations, it's really not as many as people think in the divisions that run investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the idea of moving some of those people, and I went back to FBI headquarters, my first position as a supervisor, having been a supervisor of an organized crime squad in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back to headquarters, and even as a GS-14 supervisor, you're going to meetings at other agencies. You're dealing with your counterparts from other federal law enforcement, from the State Department, from the Pentagon, from the White House. So in many of those cases, you need to be there. You're not going to commute there from Huntsville, Alabama, or whatever. You're just going to waste a lot of time, because to go back to Washington from a remote area like that's going to take most of a week. It's going to take 3, 4 days, even if the meetings that you go back for are only a couple of hours long. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that there are a lot of people that need to be in Washington. They need to have proximity to the other federal agencies or the heads of state from different states that are back there, congressmen, senators, to do briefings like that. So there's not, I don't think there's as much waste in having people in Washington as it sounds like. We got to get these people out of here. Well, it depends what they're doing. If
Mm-hmm.
they're working in conducting act or overseeing active investigations in important matters, it's a different thing. At headquarters, the FBI has more than 20 divisions,
Mm-hmm.
but the first 5 or 6 are investigative. That's the most important. So if
Mhm,
you're a supervisor or a section chief in one of those,
mhm,
so if you're a GS-14 or GS-15
mhm,
in criminal division or counterterrorism division or national security division,
mhm,
compared to training division or documents storage, division or building maintenance division,
mhm.
it's much like George Orwell's book. All GS-14s are equal. Some are more equal than others. And if you're in a division overseeing investigations, making approvals and recommendations regarding undercover operations or wiretaps or dealing with foreign counterparts all over the world, those are much more important than just the people that are
Sure.
responsible for storing the documents or cutting the grass at Quantico or
Mhm.
some of these other divisions that are not investigative operational divisions.
Hmm, I see. Well, thank you. This is a very insight information which help us understand how FBI works. But still, when Cash Patel are there, we expect to see the big changes, and it will come uh,
Yeah.
in front of us. So we have a big expedition. We have a big hope on
Yeah.
change the FBI, the culture, and just like you said, the upper level management team, which
Right.
need to be a big change. And talk about Hillary Clinton. I thought about another issue. It's about U.S. ad, and Trump is close the whole building, the whole office. And we saw that there are $84 million went to Clinton Foundation
You talk
under
about
Trump.
USAID?
Yeah, USAID. So what
Yeah,
do you
people
think
don't
about?
understand USAID. They think it's USAID, and
Mhm,
it's a mechanism for the FBI, I mean, the FBI, for the US government to
mhm.
provide aid or grant money to
Right,
different countries around the world and all of that.
right.
That's a very small part of it because the State Department can do that. The State Department itself, this
Mhm,
is kind of an independent agency, which really is more of an arm of the CIA than anybody, USAID. So the name US, it sounds like US aid. Well, that's
mhm.
really nice. We're giving money to people that need it and all of that.
Yeah.
And now, thanks to Elon Musk, it's becoming public how many of the projects they have funded that
Mhm,
have nothing to do with helping the country, you
mhm,
know, how to, I don't know, transgender rats and some of the other things that they're funding in different countries
mhm,
are absurd. And, Musk has found many of the projects that they have funded, um, to be not necessary or just wrong to have those things. Now, I
mhm,
didn't deal when I was running FBI international operations my last 5 years in the FBI. I went to many countries that had a USAID representative there.
mhm,
I met them and tried to see what they were doing, and like, stay away. We're on
mhm,
our own. And they were very independent and uncooperative in the countries I dealt with them. And it was clear that they were not working for the State Department directly or for the Secretary of State. They were really working for CIA. And so much of what they were doing was distributing this grant money that you've seen, but it was really corruption. They were really corrupting these small countries, other countries, give them this aid and get assistance back that they wanted
mhm,
that really wasn't part of the state. Now the question would be now that this is going to, the money and the authorities are going to be turned over probably to Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. We'll see
right,
how many things change. We'll see if Rubio is going to, be providing money for some of the ridiculous things that they did, at least on paper that they did. And the other thing is that just because they said they're helping develop transgender rats in
right.
Guatemala or something, was that actually what they were doing? Was that actually who did the money actually go to, and who benefited? And the people on the Hill, did they benefit from kickbacks, uh, or the agency or other components of the government? So there is a lot that needs to be answered just with that alone. USAID.
Wow, that's a very good question you point out, Tom. Who actually hold the money? Who actually got the money? what they are doing with the money?
That's
These
right.
are very big questions they need to ask. Maybe we will never know the answers.
Well, we might not know because the Democrats, liberals are opposing,
Of
even, questioning Musk doesn't have the authority and he should be able to. But it's because they don't want this to be discovered. How
course,
much money went and how much of that they got back? How many
right,
kickbacks went back to the Hill,
right.
back to donations to their campaigns and all of that.
Mhm,
So it's another thing. They're already afraid of Kash Patel because he knows so much of the evil things they did. And Bongino's wrote several best-selling books on what they did during Russiagate and some of the other cases.
mhm.
And, now to have Elon Musk discover more of what they're doing, they're going crazy. They don't want that.
Right, right.
Now, one of the things people understand is that federal government agencies and departments are supposed to undergo regular investigation, regular review.
Mm-hmm,
And the FBI, when I was in the bureau almost all, 30 years, um, we conducted internal inspections every 3 years. Every headquarters division, every field office, every component of the bureau,
mm-hmm,
and that was required by law, normally to be conducted by Office of Management and Budget or Government Administrative Office, GAO or GSA, or one of the other federal agencies, except the FBI, because of the classified nature of our investigations, we were exempted from having an outside agency come in.
mm-hmm,
But it was because we were going to do it ourselves, and it was going to be extremely diligent and extremely thorough, these inspections. Now,
mm-hmm,
on your way to an executive position, you have to spend a year on inspection staff actually going to field divisions and headquarters divisions and
mm-hmm,
legal attache offices around the world and
mm-hmm,
studying what they're doing
mm-hmm,
and determining, are they doing the right thing? Are they effective? Are they efficient? How
mm-hmm,
are they cooperating with other agencies? What's the reputation of the FBI there? This is done every 3 years. And every employee, especially investigators and supervisors, have to fill out detailed interrogatories. Now,
mm-hmm.
this thing about Elon Musk sending an email out that tell us like 5 things you did last week,
Uh-huh.
that's
That's good.
nothing. The interrogatories that we had to fill out, very detailed, because again, it's going to be reviewed by senior FBI agents. So they're going to know whether you're lying or what you're doing if it's appropriate. So you're going to describe what are the cases you're working on? Are they within the program that you're assigned? Are they properly assigned to you? And
Mm-hmm,
then in how you conduct, you're going to document how you conduct those investigations. If you've used all of the, especially sensitive techniques that require court authority or other oversight, are you being effective? Are you being efficient? Are you documenting your work? Are you being successful in prosecutions? Are
mm-hmm,
you successfully working with the other agencies or political leaders in your territory, other federal law enforcement agencies? Those interrogatories, as they're called, are very detailed, require a tremendous amount of work to prepare them. And then when the inspectors come to town and they're going to be in your division for at least 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to assign assistant inspectors to look at all of those interrogatories. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you
right, right.
doing it efficiently and effectively and properly and in keeping with federal law and the Constitution and all of that? And
Mm-hmm,
it's career threatening. If the
mm-hmm,
inspectors come in and find that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing or you're not doing it properly, it's career threatening.
mm-hmm.
Even for the boss of the office, you could be removed from that position and demoted.
Right.
Uh, or prosecuted or fired or disciplined in another matter. So that's the kind of internal review
Mm-hmm,
that an agency like the FBI did. Now,
mm-hmm,
other departments, let's say Health and Human Services or some of the other ones, I don't know. I
mm-hmm.
wasn't familiar with how they did their internal reviews, but I know in the FBI,
Sure.
um, it was career threatening. When the
So,
inspectors came to look at what you were doing, and of
mm-hmm,
course, you prepared all the documentation of what you were doing and why you were doing it and how you were doing it.
mm-hmm,
And you had to be in compliance with the
right,
Constitution, with federal law, with
right,
Department of Justice policies and FBI policy.
right. So, the same thing. Do you think USAID will have this similar internal investigation or internal reporting system? It should, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what's going to, the outcome of Doge
Mm-hmm,
uh, has so far has been brutal on what they've been doing and how they've been doing. We've only heard the tip of the iceberg of some
mm-hmm,
of the things they've done.
right.
So it's very possible, I would think, that aid, USAID itself will be dismantled, and the
Mm-hmm,
functions and responsibilities of doling out money around the world,
mm-hmm,
foreign aid around the world,
mm-hmm.
will go to the main State Department, will come under Marco Rubio's
Right,
control,
right.
not the CIA.
Right, right. Yeah, from your experience, you said that for last 5 years, if you're when you're at FBI, you actually try to contact with them or try to talk with them, and they're pretty much keep to themselves.
Right.
So that probably is their way to deal with people out of their department. Talking about the Dodge, Musk. We know that he asked the federal employee to write 5 things that you have done last week, and some people did, and some people did not do it. And it seems like some, like State Department, like Homeland Security Department, like DOJ, just reject to do so. What do you think about Elon Musk, his move about that?
Well,
He's
first of all, I just mentioned that, each federal department, executive branch department,
Mhm,
agencies within that branch are supposed to undergo a very detailed internal investigation on a
mhm,
regular basis. Now, it might be every year, or in the
mhm.
FBI's case, when I was an inspector, it was every 3 years.
Mhm,
But, in that situation, that had to be done. And
mhm,
so now you have it pretty clear that many of these departments have been very lax, poorly managed, if at all.
mhm,
And so the president has the discretion to appoint somebody.
mhm.
Just it would be like an FBI inspector.
Right.
Now they could do that with FBI inspectors and send a team into these agencies.
Mhm,
That's already authorized under federal law. That's what they're supposed to be doing, and that's how they can do it. So
mhm,
to question Elon Musk, the president's in a position to make sure, and he already has top secret clearances for all of the rocket projects and everything else that he's doing with the U.S. government. But to have Elon Musk and a team of computer experts and others that to work with him,
mhm,
to have them assigned to do these investigations, that's perfectly normal. And
mhm,
so far, the few court cases that have come up have backed that up.
mhm,
President has the right to, has the duty as
mhm,
chief executive of the executive branch. He has the duty to
mhm,
make sure every department and everybody under the executive branch is
mhm.
working effectively and efficiently and legally and strategically properly and all that.
Right.
So, so the Democrats and everybody that's screaming about him, about Elon Musk, they just know that he's so smart and efficient and he's got a good team with him. They don't
Mhm,
want that. They
mhm,
don't want somebody that good and that efficient looking at what they're doing. So
mhm, mhm,
that's why they're raising this all this phony stuff that they're looking at our personnel records and all of that.
mhm,
That's all wide open anyway. Who are they kidding? And if
mhm,
you're and the inspectors within, you don't have within your own agency, the management of that agency, you have no privacy. You have no none of that
mhm.
secret.
Right.
So, it's a big fuss about nothing.
Mhm,
And they hope that they can raise enough issues to have the public turn against Trump and turn against Doge or turn against all of this. And they're not paying attention that this is what Trump campaigned on,
mhm,
that the government is bloated, inefficient. There are people that are there that don't belong there. And
mhm,
now you've had people that have been out of the office for 3, 4 years. What have they been doing? Is it
mhm,
too much to ask? If you're working from home, what did you do last week?
mhm,
If you
mhm.
can't answer that question in about 10 minutes, you
Yeah,
know, too bad.
right. So you
You know,
think,
when we did the preparing for our inspections, the interrogatories, that took days to fill that stuff out.
right, right. So do you think a huge fire will go, like a huge layoff will happen after some people just
I
reject?
don't know.
So we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll
All
see.
right.
You
All
know,
right.
you have a lot of people that may be looking for the excuse of being fired because they don't want to go back to the office. So
Uh-huh.
that could be another motivation for them to not be cooperative. But I don't know.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see. Seems like Trump has the right to do that, and Elon Musk has the right to do that. And then for government employee, federal government employee, better follow the instruction. Just answer the question.
Yeah, Trump has the duty to do that, to make sure that every branch, every department in the executive branch is
Right.
working properly, legally, constitutionally,
Mhm.
effectively, efficiently. That's his duty.
Right, right.
And the fact that he's picked one of the most brilliant men in the world to run that operation, good for him. You
Right,
know, so I
right.
think that's the argument that Elon Musk and his brilliant, subordinates are too good. They don't want somebody that
Hmm.
intelligent looking at what they're doing.
Yeah, some people just think they need to have more respect to their job for their doing in the federal government. They think they are helping people. And if Elon Musk said, report by certain time, otherwise you resign, it's not respect to them. Some people just express this kind of attitude or thoughts, but we'll see.
You know, if you take the position that you don't want to take 5 minutes to explain what you did last week, and
Mhm.
you don't have to, and you're not going to, well, goodbye.
Yeah,
That's it.
yep,
You know,
I
see
agree.
you. And I don't have any excuse. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, right. And also talking about the USAID, do you know that we have the similar agent amount the federal government? Is the USAID the only one who give out the money?
No, each of these departments can give grant money and assist
Oh,
who they're working with or whatever. So you
uh-huh.
already have the State Department that's giving out grant money to many countries in need and trying to help, fledgling democracies and all of that. So
Mhm,
USAID isn't a grant program for needy countries. It's a giveaway to get stuff back from those countries that they want politically
mhm,
or intelligence or whatever it might be.
mhm,
So this is not some benevolent association operating out there.
mhm. But it's a big one. USAID is a very big one, and they hand out a lot of
Well, the
money.
name, people say, "Oh, USAID, how can you question that? They must be doing great work." Okay,
Mhm,
that's what you think.
right?
Why don't we look and see if they are? Oh, no, 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 no. We don't want anybody looking at it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the question. That's the question. And so the federal government seems like have a big issues, and this is the one of the topic that President Trump talked over and over again that he will do something for the federal government. Basically, he wants a
Yeah.
small government. So we will
He
expect,
campaigned on this. The things that he campaigned on, he's doing.
right?
And now they hate that. They just assumed or hoped that, well, when he actually is in the White House, he'll be too busy golfing or doing other things to really care about what he promised.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
now they're finding out, oh no, he's doing exactly what he promised, and we don't like it. Now, we don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's true. And so Elon right now he's a center person. Everybody look at him and look at his next movement. And so far, I think they have a very high proof rate. One of the Democrats party member has launched a poll at X and asking people, are you satisfied with Trump for 1 month? And I think he wants to see some bad number, but turn out 70% of people said, yes, we do
Right,
approve. Yeah.
right.
And only 15 or 20% people said disapprove. So this is a very high number for the first month. that people are approved to a new administration. So hopefully it will go up, and then we have a good to see. And then about the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, what do you think about that?
Well, the peace deal is between the United States on
And
behalf of everybody else, Western countries,
mhm,
and Russia. And I think that, again, there's so much false information that's put out about that. You have people saying that the Ukraine-Russia war started 2 years ago. No, 2014,
mhm,
duly elected president of Ukraine, who has, favorable relationship with Russia,
mhm,
the United States, CIA, and MI6 out of the United Kingdom overthrows the government of
mhm,
Ukraine.
mhm,
And then, one president later, it's Zelensky.
mhm,
And when Zelensky runs for president from the Ukraine, he promises to make sure there's going to be no war with Russia and he's going to
mhm,
get along with them and he's going to do all that. And the
mhm,
only thing Russia asked for out of all that
mhm,
was don't join NATO.
mhm.
That was the one thing they prohibited. We don't want U.S. and NATO country weaponry on our border
Right.
because a missile launched from that border will hit Moscow in about 8 minutes. So we can't have that.
Mhm,
Much like the U.S. did in 1962, telling Russia, or the Soviet Union at the time, you can't put weapons in Cuba. We won't tolerate that. And
mhm,
at that time, a missile, a rocket launched from Cuba would take about 30 minutes
mhm,
to hit Washington or the east coast of the US.
mhm,
So, now these years later, it would take 8 minutes for a
mhm,
missile on the border to hit Moscow and other key Russian cities. So that
mhm.
was the deal. And Zelensky basically says, oh, okay, it's not a big deal.
So he
And
agreed.
then he gets overruled. Uh, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson flies to Kiev saying, I'm representing Biden. You will not make that agreement.
Mhm,
You won't say no NATO or no anything else. And they convinced Zelensky basically to become more aggressive against Putin and Russia.
mhm,
And Russia basically is telling them, don't do that. Don't
mhm,
provoke us by doing that.
mhm,
And then you have in 2014, when we overthrow the government, duly elected government of Ukraine, the Ukraine uh, had ended up with, because of when the Soviet Union broke up, the Soviets let Ukraine become its own country, independent, fine, but also take Crimea with it. Now,
mhm.
Crimea has been part of Russia for more than 300 years.
Right.
Fact, the UK and France invaded Crimea, the Crimean War in the 1850s,
Mhm,
to separate Russia at the time. There wasn't no Soviet Union yet, to separate Russia from the Crimea. And the reason was that the Russians' one and only warm water naval port was in
mhm,
Crimea, Sevastopol. So
mhm,
they said no, and they fought, and the UK and France lost, and
mhm,
Russia maintained control. This is that war. The Crimean War was in the 1850s, 10
mhm,
years before our Civil War.
mhm,
So meantime, in 2014, when we overthrow the elected government of Ukraine, then Putin says, okay, we're going to take back Crimea. It was ours for 300 years. We're going to make sure we keep it and you don't keep us out of there. And we still have our one and only naval base that's
mhm,
in warm water. Because the only other major naval base that they have is in Murmansk, up in the Arctic Circle. And that naval base is where they keep their submarines because they can get out under the ice
mhm,
in the middle of winter. Like in the movie Hunt for Red October,
mhm,
that's the naval base that the Red October is leaving to
mhm,
go out into the ocean and eventually into the Atlantic Ocean.
mhm,
So, so basically, Putin was very clear from the beginning. You do not join NATO.
mhm,
And Ukraine agreed. Okay, we won't join NATO. Then they get talked into, well, maybe we're going to join NATO. And, we can do what we want, basically. And Putin basically says if you don't promise that you're going to stay out of NATO and do all of that, then you're going to leave me with no choice but to go in. and
Right.
prevent you from doing that. And that's what happens 2 years ago in this war.
Mm-hmm.
It's that Putin decides that Ukraine is not complying
Mm-hmm.
with his request initially and then his order to not join NATO.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. It's very interesting story. And think about the history of Ukraine and Russia relationship. So I have two questions. First, why Zelensky changed his mind? He did not keep his promise, and he know the result of not keeping the promise is Russia gonna have a fight, have a
Yeah,
war.
he didn't keep his promise because Boris Johnson visited him in Kiev. He was the prime minister of the United Kingdom at the
Right,
time.
right.
He goes to Kiev, 3, 4 years ago, and tells Zelensky that he's representing Biden. And we don't want you making an agreement like that, that you're not joining NATO or whatever. You'll do what we want you to do. We'll give you all the money and weaponry and everything you need to defeat Russia. And of
Okay.
course, 2, 3 years later, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zelensky, he ran for president. He was a comedian, working in nightclubs or something.
Right.
And he gets elected. He runs on a platform of making peace with Russia, of getting along because they've gotten along for hundreds of years,
Sure.
making peace with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Johnson visits him, he reneges on that and decided, well, if you're going to give me all these weapons and equipment and everything else, then
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and do what we have to do. And that's when Biden says, okay, he sends tanks into Ukraine, and he underestimates Ukraine and the West. He thought, well, they'll stop this, when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Putin rebuilds his army.
Yeah,
So his
right.
army is, 3, 4 times bigger today than it was 2 years ago when the war
Mm-hmm.
started, or 3 years ago when it started.
Right. So the key person is Zelensky because he listened to Biden, listened to Boris, rather than he keep his promise with Putin, even though he know the action will put his country in danger. He still do that. So the question is why he listened to Biden and Boris, but not Putin and honor their agreement. What behind that? Why he made that
I think
choice?
because out of his arrogance and his assumption, going back to American arrogance, that, well, if the US backs us
Mhm,
against Russia, we can't lose. We'll win. And you've got United States senators like Lindsey Graham and others saying, oh, yeah, we'll help the Ukraine, and everybody in Congress is waving Ukrainian flags. And oh, they can't lose. They've got the mighty United States behind them, and
mhm,
that's what's going to happen. And they don't realize that the military, excuse me,
mhm.
even in just the last few years, is not what it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago when Trump left office because
Right.
of all this woke stuff.
Mhm.
They couldn't keep up their recruitment.
Right.
Uh, White males didn't want to join the military because they were told you can't get promoted. You've got to
Mhm,
be DEI, if you want to be a general or an admiral, and
mhm,
transsexual, and all the rest of what happened with the military. And I think that now that's being reversed slowly. And I think you see Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, making aggressive efforts to restore the military, and just knowing that DEI is dead and the
mhm,
generals that promoted it have been fired.
mhm.
Just that much alone, military recruitment has dramatically increased in the last 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. Because people see the hope and they
Yeah,
see that military is moving to the right direction, and which is
yeah.
good for this country. And just before our broadcast to start, about 20 minutes ago, Zelensky, there is a news that Zelensky have agreed to sign the agreement with American for the mineral business. So he supposed to come to the States and to the White House and sign the agreement. So what do you think about this news? Is it good news or
Well, we'll see how that goes. Because Biden, according to Zelensky and apparently Biden, basically the 2 or 300 billion dollars that the U.S. has given to Ukraine in the last 3 years
Mhm.
was just no restrictions, no nothing,
Right. I
no
saw,
hold.
yeah, I
Take
saw
the
that.
money. I commented on
Mhm.
this podcast even a year ago. I said the reason Biden is giving him billions and billions of dollars is because Zelensky can expose the tremendous corruption of the Biden administration,
Mhm.
everything going back to a couple of years ago when Hunter Biden got that, tremendous job with the oil company and all of this type of stuff. And Zelensky, he would have the documents and the interceptions of phone calls between Biden and him of all of this corruption. And corruption goes a long way.
Mhm.
When a public figure accepts money corruptly, the person providing it has a hold on him. And that's what you've had with Zelensky. Zelensky could completely take out Biden by making this stuff. Look, here's the deal we had.
Right.
And I gave him all this. He gave me all this money. I gave him all of this. And it
Mhm.
went back and forth. And so I think that that's where the discrepancy came in. And then
Mhm.
Trump comes along and Zelensky says, well, no, Biden said that was free money. It's all,
Mhm.
it's grants, not a loan.
Mhm.
And Trump says basically, well, it's not a grant.
Mhm.
You need to pay, you've taken 2 or 300 billion from us, of
Mhm.
which the Trump administration was trying to get them to say where about 100 billion went, and even Zelensky admitted, I don't know,
Mhm.
gone. I don't know. And so now what you have is basically Trump saying, okay, you've got all of this stuff that you haven't, you know, mined or picked up from
Mhm.
uranium to other precious metals, and you pay us with that, and we'll consider it, we'll be even. That
Right.
if you're not going to pay us back in cash and you don't know where the cash went, you
Mhm.
know it's in the ground and you'll let us come in and
Mhm.
take what's in the ground, take a fair share.
Pretty smart. Pretty
Yeah.
smart.
So
So,
that's what Zelensky's facing. And then,
mhm.
Zelensky, the Trump administration and the CIA and other leaders in the Trump administration basically have been keeping Zelensky alive the
Mhm.
last couple of years. He's dead man walking.
Mhm.
So, he's been bragging the people will reelect me. And, Trump figured out that his poll ratings in the Ukraine are like 4% approval or something. So, so Zelensky, if he wants to live long enough to get to
Mhm.
the other places where he's got all his wealth that he stole from our grant money,
Mhm.
then you better be halfway cooperative with Trump,
Right.
or we're not going to protect him anymore.
Right.
And the Ukrainian people themselves will take him out as a
Mhm.
traitor.
Mhm.
So again, Trump, the art of the deal. Don't say you're not going to repay us. We know what you have, and you can use that.
Yeah. Art of the deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Do you trust Zelensky? He
No.
will not change. He will come to sign the contract. We don't
He's
know.
gonna well, he can sign it. I don't know if it means anything, but if he better cooperate or he's a dead man.
Right.
Simple.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, President Trump point out that they need to have the election 1 year ago. So if they did not do that, Zelensky is a legitimate president? It's a question mark.
It is a question mark. He's the
Right,
closest thing they have to a president, legitimate
right,
or not. But
right.
but no, he's not legitimate. He wasn't called off the elections, put his
Mm-hmm,
opponents in jail, shut
mm-hmm,
down all the TV stations, newspapers, and other outlets, and
mm-hmm,
locked up any dissident that
mm-hmm,
criticized him.
mm-hmm.
So that's what you have. He's totally illegitimate. He has nobody to protect him. If we
Right.
don't, nobody will.
Yeah. Like this is another lie that the major media describe to the world, to the audience, that Zelensky is the hero.
Oh, he's
Oh,
the George Washington of the
yeah,
Ukraine, and he's all these things, all the stupid things that our media likes to say
right.
when they're lying in favor of somebody or against someone,
Hmm.
then you would think they don't have any credibility anymore. So
Hmm.
if Zelensky has somebody that's going to back him up, where maybe some banker
Mm.
in some other country that has his money and might, but nobody else is going to.
Right, right. All right, so next time, next week when we have our broadcast, we already know the result if he come here to sign the agreement or not. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that, hopefully.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. We talk about a lot issues and lots news during this month, but still we have a lot things have not covered yet. So we'll
Right.
catching up for next month and next podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And this is
Okay.
a happy day that Kash Patel is back. It's a
Yep.
yeah, a good
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing from the time you left is that in the meantime, every nominee
yeah,
that Trump made is in,
yeah.
now confirmed. They're in.
This is
So,
amazing. This
yeah.
is amazing. All right. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you. And again, welcome back.
Thank you. And I'll see you next week.
See you then.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tom. Bye bye.